you're saying the contracts and everything, that is the story of training camp rather than – because I don't see too many quarterback competitions, which is normally another training camp storyline, right?
Yeah, so I would say the contract situations, just because I would say to go back to 11, when they made it hard to hold out, we've seen a lot fewer holdouts. I would say over the last, what would that be, 14 training camps now. Right. So I would say the uptick in guys who are willing to go to the mat with their teams. Because what we've seen, I think, as kind of a result of the new rules,
yes,
is guys are rattling cages in the spring now and staying away from the spring stuff and like trying to get it done earlier so like they don't have to take on the fines in the summer.
Like T. Higgins.
Right. And so like now you're seeing that a little bit more in the summer, right? Which is, I think, an interesting development. And so like, yeah, I'd say the uptick in training camp holdouts, and maybe that's just me being a prisoner of the moment because it's happening right now.
Right.
The quarterback competitions, I would say like there's that difference in the way that each rookie quarterback's being handled, right? Like Caleb is the starter.
Yep.
Jayden Daniels is likely the starter, but not yet.
Why? What's going on there? I don't understand that. Why? What's with the? You have to say the word likely. I'm not complaining what you're saying. Why aren't the Commanders just treating him like Caleb? Like what's with the fig leaf here for on the on the altar of right. we compete. Like,
so yeah, if there's one word that like defines Pete Carroll's program, it's
always compete, right. Which is okay. Now I get it. Well, that's where Dan Quinn comes from.
It becomes hard to say. I think the big thing is, and I know people see these as artificial sometimes, but it's really hard for a new coach to come in and sell that to a guy who might have been in the league for 5 years, and then he sees a rookie quarterback being handed the job.
Come on, no. Yeah, I mean, it's not just any rookie quarterback here.
Right.
It's the second overall pick and somebody that you as a veteran know, like the kid's gotta play.
I think what
win.
I think what it comes down to for DQ though is like he wants the veterans to see it. And like he wants them and look,
he's the coach.
I think you can make up the reps. Like I think a big part of it for like we need the veterans to see that he won the job.
Okay.
And once it becomes obvious, which I think it will because he had a good spring, it's a little bit of a different philosophy than, like what they're doing in Chicago, which the Chicago situation is fascinating because they started installing with him before they drafted him. Like they were installing with him in March. Like when they use those, you're allowed 3 1-hour Zoom calls.
Yep.
They were installing the offense with him. They were. I mean,
what do you mean? Like,
well, they were putting the offense in with him. They had Shane Waldron, who's the new offensive coordinator there, Matt Eberflus. They were putting in the offense, and they didn't call it that at the time. But when they brought him for,
putting them on. He was putting them on the board with their playbook.
But they're putting in the offense, and then they get to, they get to the 30 visit in April, and they had him at a table with Cole Kmet and Tevin Jenkins and the leaders on that team, DJ Moore, like those guys were like, so we're going to get the veterans comfortable with him. So when he shows up at the end of April, he can hit the ground running. And when we get to training camp, we're flying, and I think part of that's the makeup of the team too. Like, I mean, look, like they've been building for 3 years there. They've got, again, DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and Montez Sweat and Jermaine Edmonds. Yeah, I mean, but I'm talking about veteran players where it's like those guys aren't sitting around waiting for a rookie quarterback to develop. So in that way, Matt Eberflus is serving what he's doing. But yeah, they were creative about the way they did that. And again, like they were trying to position him with his teammates and with the scheme where he could hit the ground running when he was drafted.
And how about all of this stuff too, that he's going to demand this, demand that. He's taking different approaches. He winds up going to the team that drafted him and signing the rookie contract.
Conventional contract, right. I think that was part of that, like, and look, like from everything I've heard, his dad's a really, really smart, accomplished businessman.
Yes.
One thing that was interesting that I heard about that, and we'd all kind of talked about that over the last year, right? Like, is his dad going to be a problem or an issue?
Yes.
So going back to, and I can remember when they interviewed Cliff Kingsbury in January, and that was actually a fact-finding mission for Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus coming out here to interview Cliff Kingsbury. They interviewed a couple of guys in L.A., and Cliff flat out told them, like, I've seen his dad in our facility one time. That's it. It's like his dad handles the business side. His dad advises him on the business side. His dad is not involved in football. So they had all of these business ideas that obviously not a lot of them came to fruition. But they're trying to maximize him from a business standpoint.
Makes sense.
I think the concern was for a lot of teams was that that's going to spill over into football. And Cliff, who was with him here at USC last year, assured them like his dad was no problem, you know? And so, I mean, and Cliff's been through those sorts of things before, obviously as a college coach with the Cardinals, all of that. Like, so he, you know, it was his process was really, really interesting. And I think the business end of it was like, let's see what we can do, you know? And you throw enough darts, you're going to miss a few.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.